Hello, my name is Quentin. Idiot Reads and Rambles coming back into house after I just had a very good night. So I'm, gonna come here and do a discussion of a video that I've seen doing the rounds on BookTube. Very much enjoyed watching it. It's the 4 literary white whales. Now I've seen a myriad of people, a lot of people do this tag, and I really enjoy it. It's kind of a tag, kind of not. I mostly just want to use it as an excuse to talk about some books I haven't read, and on top of that, just to kind of hold my feet to the fire about finishing some of these, or at least working on them, right? So I got 4 answers here, and one of these I'm gonna do this summer. This one I'm gonna chip away at. Now, you think of a white whale book as a kind of classic that is always, I mean, I don't really get intimidated by classics, but it's always something you said, maybe one day I want to get that, I want one day to tackle this beast of a book and to conquer it, And what more classic beast of a book can you get than the Bible? The whole thing. This is the King James edition, but I've actually remember reading Genesis in grade 11, because in grade 11 I had a teacher who assigned it. Now, Genesis is a deeply bizarre narrative experience. I really think that you should read it. And I don't, if you're one of these like atheist people who the only reason you want to read the Bible is just to like have a leg up in some kind of intellectual slap fight, I don't know what to tell you, but apparently people read the Bible for that reason. But if you're atheist and you're reading it for that reason, don't do it. You should read it because it's an interesting narrative experience, and it's the most influential book that's ever been written. I actually reread Genesis, and I found it incredible. I would play this awesome game with myself where I would pretend I heard of Harold Bloom's take, and I would pretend for the occasional chapter that the author was a woman. And that actually yielded some interesting sort of ways of looking at this book that might not be so obvious on the surface if you're only familiar with the book because of the reputation of it, which is very, very mixed. But it's incredible, and I want to get down through the Pentateuch by I got school next year, so I'm not going to do it this summer. Maybe by this summer, maybe by the end of next school year. And then I have one that is from one of the most poorly read sort of niches in my reading, one of the most poorly read eras, and that is easily the Romans. I don't think I've read a single work of Roman literature, extended work, and I'm wondering how the hell that happened, So to fix that, I'm totally gonna do Ovid's Metamorphoses. At any rate, this thing's a pretty towering classic. It's an epic poem about transformation, and I think everything I know about this is just genius. And it's always been something that's been on my shelf for years, and I've been thinking, why don't I get to it? And then I came to school and I couldn't see my copy, and last semester there was a bunch of people talking about Ovid, and I was like, what the hell are we talking about? These are people that are interested in like books on Book Talk and stuff like that. And I was like, why Ovid is hitting it off with you guys? Maybe I got to read it, if even these people are convinced. So Ovid, yeah, I'm very excited, especially because it's a compendium of interesting myths. It is something that is just long, and for some reason, previously I found its status as an epic poem kind of, for some reason I found that intimidating. So yeah, I didn't get around to it, but I'm absolutely not intimidated by that anymore. So Ovid, Metamorphoses. That's the second literary white whale that I've had. The Bible. I actually got my copy of the Bible last semester, last semester. And that has not been something that has gained any sort of huge, daunting, it hasn't loomed large, you know what I mean? But the Bible is something that I've felt like I had to read since 11th grade, when I was kind of like, I enjoyed it, but I didn't want to admit it. I was a big atheist back then, yeah. But anyways, this next one is not the Bible, and it's something that I plan on getting to this summer. If any of these books will get done this summer, it will be Ovid or this one, Middlemarch by George Eliot. Now, just like a straight up PSA right now, what you need to do if you're Canadian and you are trying to buy books on a budget, if you want to stretch your reading dollar, you got to go for these terrible little Arcturus classics. And these, the Indigo would, it was the parent company of the bookstore near me. You know, I'm from, you know, the boonies, the ice flows of Nunavut. So I would be, you know, hanging out there at the bookstore that's on this moving little ice floe that's not attached to anything. And they would have these 3 for $10 classics tables. And I was broke at the time leaving school. So I'd buy the 3 for $10 classics, and that's how I read basically everything. So I would say, okay, how many pages is Moby Dick? How many pages is David Copperfield? How many pages is Middlemarch? I can buy all that for $10. And someone had gifted me one of those little plum cards for a discount and free shipping at the bookstore. So what I would do with that is I just say, wow, and you're gonna give me 10% off with that for $9. I can get, what is that, almost 2,000 pages of material? Of course I'm gonna do that. Now, Middlemarch has been on my shelves since I got out of school last time, so that's gotta be, sorry, this is a bit of a blast from the past for me. That's gotta be like 2018, 2017. Wow. No, I've been interested in this book since then. I've heard a lot about it back then. See a lot of people say, you know, it's one of the best books ever written, one of the best novels ever written. I see a lot of people saying how relatable some of the characters are, how just well done this is. And recently, one of my professors has told me that, yeah, none of the emperors. Well, I don't know if the expression is emperors or the new clothes emperors. It's not fake is the gist. I'm not good with like modern lingo. You know me, I'm born in the 1600s. So next we got, you know, I like to have one transgressive work on the docket. And, you know, we're talking about mammoths, books that have loomed large. And I bought this for really cheap at a local bookstore in St. Catharines, like under $10. And this has been something that once I heard about it, I knew, like, I want to read this at some point. Thing is, I tried the combinations, and I've almost reconciled with myself that I'm not going to go back to the combinations because, I mean, there's a certain amount of Czech history that I just don't want to sit through. And the combinations seems to be that. This one has the added little wrinkle of being very transgressive, which is something that fascinates me. Not only is it transgressive, but it's also very concerned with Hungarian history. Peter Nadash, Parallel Stories. Now this thing, I am very excited to hear. I hear it's like a transgressive maximalist book, and I would very much like to find out what's going on with this thing. You know, it's a brick. It's a million storylines going on at once. 3 volumes. I think it clocks in at like over like 1,031 pages. Yeah. So I'm pretty excited for this. But the thing that's made this thing sort of loom large for me, I was planning it for this summer. The thing that's made this loom large is because I know I'm going to love this. I just know it. I just know it. I love the fascination with sort of social history, like Hungarian history, put alongside and an authorial interest in transgression. I think that those two things could go together so well. Thing is, I want to kind of dip my toes in the Hungarian history that this book is going to kind of, you know, explore. So yeah, those are my 4 literary white whales. So, you know, I have obviously Peter Nadash, Parallel Stories, Middlemarch, George Eliot, Ovid, Metamorphoses, and the Bible. And I figured, you know, what better video to do? Uncomplicated, just sit down, have a video, you know? And what better tool is there for holding my feet to the fire and making sure I get these done? Because for a while, I remember I did a video on why haven't I read these books yet? And one of them that I included was actually Spring Snow. And I was wondering, well, why haven't I done that? You know, and I figured, well, I got some time off class. Why don't I dig into it? And now that one of these books that were kind of looming on my bookshelf, the Sea of Fertility tetralogy, I'm just about finished. You know, I've done the first 3 volumes and halfway through the last one, and I gotta say I've really enjoyed it, honestly. But you know, hopefully, I might update you on these later, right? But the gist of that was supposed to be that speaking about a book as a kind of white whale book on here, and you know, and just discussing it with people, discussing what are your white whale books, you know, what should you read of them, giving someone the maybe a sort of giving them a couple words of, yeah, you totally should read this book. That actually does really help. And also, perhaps it'll motivate me to do it like Spring Snow did, talking about it did with this. It'll motivate me, and also, man, this video is really spinning out at this point. It'll motivate me, but also, if I'm fielding a group read for any of these, I might have a partner if I put it out on YouTube. So there we go. Yeah, that's good. I've been doing well lately, if anybody gives a shit. I've been doing well lately. I feel good tonight, so I figured I'd upload a video, and I have a couple other ideas for videos that I'd like to pursue. Just short sit-down chat type videos like these. Well, that's it. Peace out. It Reads and Rambles.